back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Kyla and this is my July wrap-up. In this video, we are going to chat about all the books that I read in the month of July. It was a good reading month. We started off a little bit low, but then we read some good things and some things that I really love and cannot wait to share with you. So let's just dive in. And I luckily did not have any DNFs this month. A round of applause for that. We love when that happens. So I'm gonna go ahead and just start off with the graphic novel / manga that I read this month. I read two of them. One of them was for Summerween. I read Mooncake, which is a cute little spooky graphic novel about a witch and a werewolf. I loved this. I gave it 5 stars. It was so cute and just the perfect little spooky read. It involves witchcraft, it involves an adventure, it's queer, we have non-binary characters and transgender characters in there, and I just loved everything about it. It's so cute and definitely one I could see myself rereading. It was just one of those ones that kind of just gives you the warm fuzzies and makes you feel like a warm hug, and we all need that more, so I can definitely see myself rereading this one. And then I also read volume 9 of Spy Family. I am working my way through. This was 4 stars. I can't really give you a huge explanation on this other than it was cute. I love Anya. I love the dog Bond, and I don't need to say anything else. Okay, now that we have that out of the way, let's move into the actual novels that I read. I'm going to do this in star rating order as I usually do. So starting off with my only 2-star of the month, which thank goodness, was Half a Soul by Octavia Butler, which actually made me so sad because I was really hoping that I was going to love this one. I've heard mixed reviews about it. This is a cozy fantasy / mystery that kind of gives a little bit of fairy tale vibes, but not really. It's a little bit more on the darker side. In this one, we are following 2 cousins who, when they're in the woods one day, one of them gets threatened by this man and he takes half of her soul, and then the rest of the book is kind of on this mission to get the rest of her soul back, and they encounter different characters along the way. But it's also very Victorian as well, so we also have debutante balls going on, and then we also have trying to find our suitors, and this is the way society is supposed to be, and I just feel I should have loved this. It had all of the elements that usually speak to me in a cozy fantasy / mystery. We have some darker characters and some darker themes going on. I enjoy a Victorian element, so I was surprised that I didn't enjoy this one. We have some magic involved, but overall I just found this book to be a little bit flat. I didn't care about the main character at all. I didn't really care about the romance that was happening, and also just the whole story behind everything. I just was really uninterested. So this is 100% a me problem. The writing was good. I can see why people love this, and I was really hoping to, but for me, it just really missed the mark, and I just found myself overall very uninterested. Now let's move into my 3-star books, which I kind of went rogue with my ratings this month. So I gave out some 3.5s, some 3.75s, and we're just gonna talk about it. So my first 3-star, which was actually just a flat 3-star, was Killjoy by Holly Jackson. This is the prequel novella to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. And this was cute. It was fun. It's about a little murder mystery party, and it kind of just introduces the characters, and you get a kind of vibe for Pip and how she operates and how her mind works going into A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. However, I will say that I am so happy I didn't read this before the series, because I think it definitely gives some like key factors away, and I think had I known those things going into A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, I might not have enjoyed it that much, and I might not have been as shocked as I was by the ending. So there's definitely like a little bit of giveaways. So if I could give you any sort of recommendation, it would be to read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series first and then go back to this one. Don't read this one first, because I do think it gives some key elements away that, like, if you go into the series not knowing, it's so much more fun. And also you just really get to know Pip as a character in a different way. This one kind of paints her in a different light, which I actually kind of found a little bit annoying, if I'm being quite honest, but like, that's so weird because I love her as a character in A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Like, I love her. She was one of my favorite characters, especially in a YA, but having this novella now, I'm like, oh, had I read that first, I might not have enjoyed the series so much, which is so interesting because that doesn't really happen. So overall, it was 3 stars. It was cute, it was fun, it was a little bit suspenseful, a little bit spooky, but overall, like, it just was 3 stars. It was just okay, not anything to write home about. Do I think you need to read it? No. Do I think you need to read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder? Yes. Then we have I Am Still Alive by Kate Alice Marshall. This was also just a flat 3 stars for me, but 3 stars is still good in my opinion. Like, that's still a good book. I still enjoyed a lot of things about it, but just overall didn't give me that like 4 or 5 star feeling. Y'all know. If you're readers, you know. And this one I really enjoyed. This is a suspense story. This is a survival story. In this one, we have our main character, Jess, whose mom passes away in a tragic accident and leaves also Jess herself a little bit disabled and injured. And she grows up kind of getting bounced around to foster systems because they can't really find her dad. And then they find her and she has to go and live with him. And he lives in Alaska in this like completely remote off-grid area, and he kind of was like, hey, we're gonna like, we live off-grid and like this is what we do. Turns out he doesn't live in Alaska, he actually lives in Canada, and like she's brought to this area that she has like no idea that she's going to, and then some things happen and she's left all alone, and it is a complete survival story. I gave this 3 stars because I do find that survival stories can be a bit repetitive. While I enjoyed Jess as a character and like her ability to overcome her disability, or not even view it as a disability, just view it as like, this is me and this is something that happened to me, this is my life now, and this is just how I deal with life now, while also dealing with like learning how to take care of yourself in like this wild outdoors and like learning to hunt and fish and like do all these things. So I really loved her for that, but I also just find that survival stories can be a little bit repetitive, and that was the case for this one. Also, this just goes in like a complete wild turn that like, yeah, I was kind of expecting it, but also it's just so over the top and crazy, but like in a good way. Like, the story is still suspenseful and still you're like waiting for things to happen. But I found myself also like wanting to get past the survival things and just like really get to the nitty gritty and how it was going to unfold. So overall had to be 3 stars. There's also a really cute relationship between Jess and this dog Bo in this book, which like really put it over the top for me. I loved it. It was so cute and like really had me in my feels a lot of the time, because like if I was ever left alone in the wilderness, one, this book made me realize how much survival skills I don't have and that I probably should learn. God forbid I'm ever in that situation. But also like how much I would totally befriend all of these animals. I'm like, yes, absolutely. You are a wolf, you might kill me, but like, come on in, friend. Come on in. But anyways, found it a little repetitive. Enjoyed elements of it. Overall, just 3 stars. My next 3 star was actually a 3.5, and that was The Burning Girls by CJ Tudor. I read this during Summerween, which like was such a fun experience, and I'm so sad it's over. I cannot wait until the next one. Summerween is just like next level. It is the readathon, and like I had the most fun time ever. I did vlog it, so I will link that below, as well as the other vlogs that I did this month. They're always listed in the description, as well as my vlog playlist will be in the cards for you. But yeah, Burning Girls by CJ Tudor. I went into this knowing very little, which is how I roll with most of my books, so let's be real. I did know that it was about a smaller town, about a creepy church, and that had to do something with exorcisms. And this was a total like shame on me for not reading the synopsis more clearly, because even despite those things, I didn't really realize how heavily it was going to drive home the religion aspect in this book. And like, I just don't enjoy that very much in books. I don't enjoy there being talk of religion and like it being kind of one of the main plot lines, and it just is like something that's talked about all of the time. It's just not my jam. I just don't care. It's just something that like I just could do without. I could do without it. I thought this book was going to have more to do with exorcisms, which I do find interesting, or they can be interesting. So I was hoping that this was going to take kind of that turn. It didn't. That part kind of felt a little like lackluster. However, I did enjoy like the overall story, and I also really enjoyed the relationship between mother and daughter in here. So in this one, we have a mom and daughter. The mother is the new vicar to this church after the previous one has alived himself, and she's come to take over. So she and her daughter move to this small town, which this small town has a history of girls going missing before. So they move in, some creepy things start happening, and they start to unfold the town's secrets. And it definitely goes in like a really dark direction. And I really enjoy the fact that like it's a small town, so everyone's a suspect to what's going on. And it just does have this like overarching creepiness, especially because some of the scenes in here take place in like a really old church, and like that's creepy, okay? That is creepy. And there was a plot twist at the end of this that I did not see coming. So like overall, I enjoyed my time. I really enjoyed the plot. I enjoyed the characters. It just was a little bit too religious for my liking. Then my last 3-star of the month, which is actually a 3.75, because I went rogue and it just what felt right, okay? I typically don't give out those kinds of ratings, but it just felt right, and that is Where Echoes Die by Courtney Gould. I also included this in my Summerween vlog, and I was so excited for this one because I loved The Dead in the Dark by Courtney Gould. I just thought that was such an incredible YA horror, so I was excited to dive into another one of hers. In this one, we are following 2 sisters, and their mom has passed away, and they are on their way to move in with their father when the older sister, Beck, which like cool name. I think her name was Rebecca, but they call her Beck, which is like a cool nickname, receives a letter in the mail. I thought that was a spider. Receives a letter in the mail from their deceased mother that says, "Come and find me," in her handwriting. So Beck devises this plan to go to the place where her mom was investigating, because her mom was an investigative reporter, and kind of try to find some answers. And this is like unbeknownst to the little sister, who's like 14 or 15 or so, and she's like, oh, we're just going on to this like vacation where mom went and really enjoyed to like say goodbye and say our piece. But Beck is on a mission to like find out what this letter means, and when they get there, there's some weird things happening in this town in Arizona, kind of like some Groundhog Day sci-fi vibes, and it just went in a direction that like I was completely not expecting. Not that I didn't enjoy the direction it went, it just kind of caught me off guard, and a little bit I was like, oh, I don't really like care about this and like what's going on in this town in particular. Like I didn't find it overly interesting. I did really like the relationship between the 2 sisters, although I did find Beck to be very selfish. She's a very selfish human, and like I get that she went through some grief, and like this book does explore heavily the themes of grief. It also talks a lot about self-harm and mental health, so definitely look up trigger warnings, but it covered those things very well in my opinion. But I did find, despite what she was going through, her to be a little bit on the selfish side. But regardless, overall, I did really enjoy their dynamic. I think they really covered a sibling dynamic very well. But overall, I was just like, I don't really like care about this town and like what's going on. I just really want to find out like what happened to the mom, and that was like intertwined what was going on in the town, but I didn't find it overly interesting. But like I enjoyed the writing so much, and there was a line in this book that like I still think about to this day. So good. So I had to give it 3.75 because the writing was so good. I enjoyed the characters. I really loved that it covered the topics really well, the deeper themes really well. It's also a queer book. There's a little bit of a queer romance going on in there, which like I always appreciate. So overall, a 3.75. Moving on to my 4-star books. The first one, I still don't know my technical rating for this book. I just really don't know how I feel about it, but like 4 stars seems right, and that's The Whispers by Ashley Audrain. How are we feeling about this? I need to know. I need to know in the comments if you've read this book and what your thoughts are, because I still do not know how I feel, and also still don't know who I would recommend this book to, if anyone, and not because it was bad. It's actually so good, and explores so many similar themes to The Push, which I really enjoyed. But that's kind of where my like struggle is with this. So in this one, we are following a kind of a neighborhood group of moms. They are at a barbecue one day where one of the moms is caught like screaming at her child and really like getting in his face and that kind of thing. And they're all like, whoa, what is on? But also like blinders on. And then one night he is found, apparently jumped out his window, allegedly jumped out his window. But, you know, was he pushed? Did he jump? What is going on there? So we have the perspective of each mom in the neighborhood, and also just the perspective of like themselves and what they're going through as mothers, or as someone who is trying to conceive, someone who has experienced miscarriage. There are a lot of trigger warnings in this book. She does have a list at the beginning, but also I highly recommend looking them up beforehand, because we have so many different themes around motherhood and just like conversations about what that looks like. There's just a lot. There's also like some self-harm, mental health, child abuse, that kind of thing. So like there's a lot. Look them up. But that's also like a part of, I don't know who I would recommend this to. Like as I need to know, like if you've read this as a mom, did you enjoy it as a mom? Like is this something you would recommend to other moms? Because I would find that very difficult. I don't know if, like, I'm not a mom. I don't want kids. That's not something that like I have ever had a desire to do. It's not something that I ever want to do. I'm not like ashamed of that. I'm very vocal about that. Nor do I find anything wrong with that. But as someone who's like not a mother, the themes in this made me very uncomfortable. And also, like, if I was reading this as a mom, I don't know that I would enjoy this. I don't know if I would enjoy the different perspectives of each of these women, even though they are all valid and all warranted in their feelings, and like they're all kind of unlikable but also really relatable in the same way. It's so I just don't know. This is like a big question mark. So I need to know, if you are a mom, how you felt about this book, because I think that would help clear up a little bit of like my internal struggle with it. Overall, I really enjoyed the story. I really enjoyed the plot line and where it went. I really enjoyed the conversations from each of the perspectives of the mother and like how we got into the nitty gritty. Like this isn't lighthearted. It's all deep and kind of disturbing, but also really real and relatable at the same time. I did, however, have a huge issue that nothing that I have seen talked about this book, like no reviews, no interviews, or anything like that, has covered the fact that the little boy that was allegedly jumped out his window, pushed out his window, is like on the spectrum. It's like very briefly mentioned 1 or 2 times in here, but not as like a serious, like, he is autistic. It's very just much like, oh, we thought about getting him tested, but blah, blah, blah. And then it's just like completely thing. But like the way this boy is treated is awful. But also at the same time, I have 2 nephews that are autistic and on the spectrum. I know the difficulties that as a family have gone through at different times because of actions or behaviors or what have you. It just comes with the territory. So like that was explored, but it also was treated in such a horrible way. I just don't know. I could keep talking in circles. I need to know how you feel about it. But overall, 4 stars, I think. The next 4-star read was She Started It by Sean Gilbert, and this was over the top, unhinged, and went in a direction I was not expecting, okay? This is what started out as a fun popcorn thriller about a group of girls who grew up together and have obviously had some distance between them over the years, because isn't that always the case? They come back together for one of their bachelorette parties, or hen do as they call it in the UK, and some shenanigans goes down on this bachelorette party. It started off fun, light, popcorn, all unlikable characters, all over the top, all unhinged. Loved it, was eating it up because I love that kind of thriller. There's a time and a place for it. The writing I enjoyed. It wasn't anything like crazy, but it definitely was enjoyable. The audiobook also has a full cast of characters, which I highly appreciate. And one of the characters is like a social media influencer. The voice for her, atrocious, like nails on a chalkboard, but also really fitting for her character, so I like found it enjoyable and also really unenjoyable at the same time. However, this book takes a really dark turn in the last like quarter, and I was not expecting it to go there. I would definitely look up trigger warnings. There's definitely trigger warnings for self-harm, unaliving yourself, extreme bullying, that kind of thing, and it goes in a direction that I just was like, oh, this is so fun. This is not fun anymore. I'm not having a good time anymore. I still was like so curious about the story and enjoyed the plot and like how everything was unraveling and the reveals that happened. I still enjoyed that, but I was not expecting it to go as deep as it is. It reminded me a little bit of like You're Invited, how that was kind of like fun popcorn and then starts to get a little bit deeper. Same thing with this one, where it's like fun popcorn and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, absolutely not. Explanation for everything is actually way deeper than like you ever imagined, and it was a lot, but like I still enjoyed it, so I gave it 4 stars. And then me, again, with my rogue ratings this month, gave The Kind Worth Saving, which is the sequel to The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson, a 4.25. Okay, a 4.25, because I enjoyed this one a little bit more than The Kind Worth Killing. I gave that one 4 stars, but like this definitely was not a 4.5, nor was it a 5-star, so like 4.25, okay? I can do what I want. It's my channel and my ratings. And like I said, I enjoyed this one a little bit more than The Kind Worth Killing. It's hard to talk about this one without giving away any sort of spoilers, and I think with this book, it's best not knowing a lot going into it. And it can be read as a standalone, but there are some nods to the first one where I really do think you should read The Kind Worth Killing first before reading The Kind Worth Saving. But I think this was a great sequel. In this one, we are following the detective from the first one, and it is after the event of the first one have taken place a little while afterwards. We are following him as he's kind of unraveling another case and another unhinged woman. But what I will say about this one is that it did not have the graphic sex scenes that The Kind Worth Killing did, which like was something that I just was completely thrown off by in The Kind Worth Killing, and like one of the main reasons why it didn't get a 5-star for me, because I was like, Peter, why? Why is this in here? It had nothing to do with the story, so he definitely dialed it back in this one, which I really appreciate, and I just overall really enjoyed the story. I love where it went, and I kind of love how it ended. There were some good twists in here, some good plot twists, and just overall, like, I really enjoyed the story, so 4.25. Now my next three I'm actually going to talk about together. We have 2 4 stars and 1 4.5. I feel like talking about them in the same vein makes sense. So I have the first 2 in the Naturals series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, The Naturals and Killer Instinct, as well as None Shall Sleep by Ellie Marney. And why I'm lumping these together is because these are both YA thrillers that give Criminal Minds vibes. And if you know anything about me, Criminal Minds is like my all-time favorite TV show. Dr. Spencer Reid, are you kidding me? You can't. Anyways, I'm obsessed. I have rewatched it at least like 20 times. I just watch it all the time. It's one of my favorite TV shows, if not my favorite TV show of all time. I'm a Criminal Minds stan, okay? I just love following the BAU. I love how their brain works and figuring people out. In these ones, we have 2 separate plot lines, but also very similar vibes. In The Naturals, we have a group of teens who all have different backgrounds and different strengths. We have one that's really good at profiling, one that's really good at like lie detection, one that's good at like crime scene reenactment kind of things. They all have a different kind of dark past, and they're all brought together and create this team for the BAU called The Naturals, where they assist on older cases and try to figure out cold cases and see if they can help solve them, etc. In this one, we have 2 main players here. We have a victim of a serial killer, and then we also have our other main character whose dad was killed by a serial killer. And they are brought together and form like this little mini team for the BAU, where they are interviewing teen serial killers and like to see if they can kind of figure out what happens in the brain as like children and as teenagers, to see if there's anything they can help kind of detect going forward. So 2 different stories, but very similar vibes. So I would say if you enjoy A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, you enjoy Criminal Minds, and you like puzzle piecing and putting things together, like you liked maybe like the Inheritance games, these books are for you. I gave The Naturals 4.5, Killer Instinct, which is the second one, 4 stars, and this one 4 stars. All for kind of different reasons, but I feel like as a whole, I don't really need to go into detail. They're fun, they're not lighthearted. They do cover some like serious subject matter as they are dealing with serial killers, but like fun in a way like to help kind of figure out the puzzles as they go along. They both have good mysteries throughout them. This one was like so creepy with its serial killer. They go to interview a serial killer who's been behind bars, and like he is such a vibe and he's so creepy. And then this way, I love our main character and the way she like puzzle pieces together. The mystery really reminded me of Avery from the Inheritance games, so I love that aspect of it. There's also a famous Jennifer Lynn Barnes love triangle in these ones in particular, which like if you love the Inheritance games for that, then you will love the Naturals for that. So overall, such fun. I'm so excited and like happy that I found these. It was a recommendation from Kendall from Bookphoria, and I'm so happy she did. The sequel to this just came out, but it's only out in hardcover and I want the paperback. So I'm gonna wait a little while, see if that comes out. But oh my god, I'm so happy she recommended it. So thank you, Kendall. Incredible. And this one, I'm 2 books in. There's 4 books in the series. I plan on continuing as soon as possible because like I'm just so invested. And lastly, we have come to my last book, which is my only 5-star of the month, and I think you can probably guess what it is. It's The Only One Left by Riley Sager, and I'm so happy to be saying that it is a 5-star and that it was the only 5-star I had this month. Like, you shine. You go on, you go off, like shining above all of the rest. I love this. I vlogged my whole experience in the Summerween vlogs. Again, we'll link them below. But oh my god, Riley's back, y'all. Riley's back, okay? I'm obsessed. In this one, we are following our main character, Kit, who is a caretaker. She has recently come off suspension for something that you don't really know what's happening, but you unravel it as the story goes along. But she has come off suspension. It's really hard to get a job, and like, who can relate? Yes, absolutely. I know the struggle. So she is given this opportunity to go care for this woman, Lenora, who has a past. She allegedly murdered her whole family back in the day. There's this whole nursery rhyme about her around this town. Like, it's a very famous case. She was never convicted, but everyone thinks that she did it. Kind of like a Lizzie Borden situation. She goes to be the caretaker for this woman because she's no longer able to do it by herself. And as she gets to this place called Hope's Landing, which is where Lenora lives, it's a very like creepy house on a cliff vibes, and like the atmosphere in this book is absolutely incredible. It's perfection. It's exactly what I needed. It's a bit gothic, creepy with this house. This house is like tilting on the cliff, so like as they're walking around, things are like falling off the walls. Parts of the cliff are like falling away, so the house is like starting to cave in. It's so creepy. Lenora herself is not vocal. She has had a stroke, so she only can communicate through tapping and through a typewriter, which is like one of the creepiest tropes to me, and one that I absolutely love. I know some people don't enjoy it, but I really enjoy that. I think it's just so creepy. There's just something so creepy about it. Not the stroke part, but just like the typing on the typewriter. It reminds me of an episode of Criminal Minds, and like, it's so good. And I just had a blast, okay? This was like plot twist after plot twist after plot twist. Whiplash. Whiplash, 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 but like in the best way, in my opinion. I loved it. Again, I vlogged my whole experience, so I'm not gonna go on and on and on about it, but just know, I loved it. If I didn't say it yet, I loved it. It was so good. I enjoyed my time. It was creepy. I love the plot twist. I also love that Riley Sager didn't follow his typical pattern in like the way he usually does. There wasn't like an overly romantic thing going on in here, which like I highly appreciate because I do think it's a little bit distracting. In the other one, I get it. I get what it's for, but I do find it to be a little bit distracting. So I'm happy that this one wasn't as prominent in this one and kind of takes a different spin on the typical way he does it. And I just really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed Kit as a character. I could keep going on and on, but like, I'm obsessed. I think it's incredible. This is the Riley that I know and love. If you enjoyed Home Before Dark, I think that you will enjoy this one for sure. And that is all of the books that I read in July, and I am gonna scoot because I am dripping sweat right now because this room is not air conditioned, nor does it have a fan, and I am melting. But I hope you enjoyed. If you read any of these, I would love to hear your thoughts and feelings. Also, if you read The Whispers and you're a mom, please let me know all of your thoughts and opinions and everything. Just unravel to me in the comments. I need to know what you think. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Do not forget to subscribe if you are not already. Turn on the bell so you never miss a video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!
With you and I, the future is